Sup world, sup Zion, Space Easy, coming at you again once more. And as usual, I do have a couple slides that I want to share with you today. Right, before we get to them, I want to issue a disclaimer. Right, under fair use, right, for the material that is going to be shared here in this here post. Right, so yeah, let's get to it. Right? Yeah. I'm just here to show you what it is. Yeah. 14 to 40 soldiers to Greenland. What is that for? What message does it send? What is the message to Putin, to China, right? So he is positioning himself with Trump and what he is saying, or rather what he is speculating, that if Greenland is not in control of the US, then China and Russia will swoop in and, I don't know, take it. And even more importantly, what message does it send to Denmark, right, as the last thought in the process, right? So the first message is, what does the optics look like? And secondly, what is the message to Putin and China? Not Russia, Putin. And even more importantly, what message does it send to Denmark, the third party in the whole conversation, right? Just so you know. The main point we affirmed during these talks between the presidents of America without resolving territorial issue according to the formula agreed upon in Anchorage. There is no point in expecting a long-term settlement. Okay? Okay. Ukraine Pravda. What is this? Media house? It does not recognize. So again, there's the consistency, right? To delegitimize, right? Putin. To separate him from Russia, to make him illegitimate. Right? These are their now plans. So the aggression is still going on. Right? And now the media has been activated to do exactly that. Until that happens, Russia will continue consistently pursue the objectives set for the special military operation. Of course, they have to put in bracket the term used by Russia to they are fact checking. You get it? Describe its aggression against Ukraine and on the battlefield where the Russian armed forces have a strategic initiative, he said. I don't see them refuting that. Yeah, again, the question of culture and values. Because, again, people identify as. So, the main focus of this video is to again repeat again and again and again to show you the conspiracy, right? If you do not understand this, you will not understand what is happening around you. Okay? So again, this is what Elon has to say, right? And of course, you can look at the video yourself, right? And there is more actually. This one is more, right? So they want interference, right? They want interference to get their 3.5 billion from the Zimbabwe government. These people who invaded us and took our land, and we as Tanzanians fought them side by side with the Zimbabweans to get them out, at least to diminish their power, so as we can gain our sense, even a sense of independence. Here they are. And nobody's asking them for the reparation for the war and the disease and the stupid stuff they done in Africa. Why? Because they don't see it as a sin or anything wrong like that, This is another angle. These are the things that they are important, not messages, not posturing, not what do they say, optics, right? That, you remember the magician, a distraction, the trick, a victim. Okay? Now, all of that, what you're hearing, they are distractions. Okay? The real thing, or rather, the trick is to go against Judah, to go against the Africans. Okay? Why? I shall show you. So again, they're working in tandem. I'm just here to point out, right? So as when we cycle back to this working togetherness, there is a consistency when we have in conversation, right? So again, 10 tribes went against the single tribe, the majority, which is the Iranian, right? Turkey is giving a warning, and from all the intelligence and stuff they have. Of course, he wants the Nobel Peace Prize and stuff. So, right? So again, why are they turning a blind eye? Hmm? Of course, Trump done come out here and say Greenland, Canada, and America, they're gonna build the Golden Dome. Right? Netanyahu stole it from us, but it is ours. It is our technology. We're gonna build a beautiful Golden Dome. He just insulted Canada. Eh, right? So this is still going on, right? This is just a warning shot. I heard that the new president of Venezuela is supposed to is currently going on gonna go. Is gonna go to America to negotiate. My advice: don't do it. Right? These arrogant individuals, of course, came with a genius plan. So, yeah, right? Even this will not make sense. Mm? They have no business, development, anything productive except war. Mm? Now the question comes to the UAE. Did they do it because they felt like it was an obligation? And the obligation of what type? Or they did it as a way to entice? Mm? Yeah, you keep copying the strategy. It won't pan out for you the way you think it does, or it will. Okay? So, new information is coming out about what is happening in Sudan, and now apparently stuff is coming in from Libya. Cut it, or you will be held responsible. Just understand that. Yeah, what they're really looking for is for you to engage the officers, and one of them, is offed. And after that, yeah, the real party starts. Hmm? Hey, we killed some people too. Hmm? All of this, people have to really, really think about. Hmm? So, information is coming out pertaining to the Nord Stream. Now, I don't know if the AFD is going to hold not only Zelensky, but from what I heard, Poland, and from what I heard also, the US was involved in Britain. Or is this just a retaliation for the so-called payment? Urges. This is a responsibility. What's your point then? If you're just gonna ask and what's your point there? Or you're just pretending? So this is what I also saw circulating online, what people are really not talking about. There is a particular presentation made by this guy here, and he was talking about Greenland, right? And he said he's gonna have to get people on it. And yeah, people are on it, right? His tribe from the bottom up, like I've explained to you. And look at that, a mysterious accident knocked out the power grid. Are you serious right now? A mysterious, is there such thing as a mysterious accident? Okay. This is just a new thing. This is a new wake-up call, right? The phone has been ringing for a long time, right? Now it itself tried to turn up the volume. 70 years. Can you believe that? This is what Hezbollah has said. So in one hand, they're urging the Israelis to open the Rafah crossing, and the other hand, they're banning people with actually supplies to get into to help them because they have other plans, and it's painstakingly obvious. So this is why I say this is some garbage that they have going on over there, right? And this Black Panther and the guns, and yeah, that is a whole setup just to get you Israelites outside, right? So you have these individuals, infiltrators, many of them, in prominent places. That's the sad part. Putin builds Sahel's first satellite. Why not Russia? Putin does not know how to make satellites. Yeah, that's why Zelensky says in order for him to join EU, he wants you out. Not your country, of course, you specifically out. I don't know what that means for you, but hey, these are the systems we chose.
What is the stone of Jacob, a Hebrew patriarch, doing beneath the queen's throne chair? Why was the queen crowned at her coronation ceremony on top of a symbolic Egyptian step pyramid?
Okay, first tangent. This ceremony was recently stolen from Ethiopia in the coronation, right? In the coronation of Haile Selassie, right? Which I believe he's a fake person, right? From what he said he is, right? He said he's Christ himself. He's a liar, right? And you can tell who did him in, where he was found, right? Where he was found. I'm gonna give you a clue. What do the so-called Jews say about what happened, or rather, what is the end of Christ? Where is Christ right now? Right? So let's continue. This is me showing you the conspiracy. Okay? What this is all about.
The monarch's crown has 12 stones at the base, each representing the 12 Hebrew tribes. The 12 stones of the 12 tribes were also worn on the breastplate of Hebrew high priests in Canaan. The Union Jack represents the reunion of the United Kingdom of the 12 tribes of Jacob, or Jacob. The Union Jack is red, white, and blue, the same colors as the three crowns of Egypt. The royal scepter originates in ancient Egypt and was carried by the Egyptian god Amun and by Egyptian pharaohs who called themselves the Son of God. The royal scepter is now carried by pharaonic descendant Queen Elizabeth II. The queen's punishing flail or whip is partially hidden under her arm. The flail or whip also originates with the pharaohs of ancient Egypt. The symbol of the bee can be found within the queen's royal wardrobe. In ancient Egypt, bees were the symbol of Egyptian royalty as well as the symbol of Egypt. The symbols on the British coat of arms reveal Britain's Hebrew origin. According to the Bible, the harp symbolizes the Hebrew King David. The biblical lion and unicorn holding up the shield symbolize the nation of Israel. The motto, Dieu est mon droit, means God and my right, indicating the divine right of the British monarch to an eternal throne. The headdress worn by judges and the Queen's high-ranking officials originate in ancient Egypt. Kilts, like the one worn by Prince Charles, originate with the Egyptian pharaohs who wore white kilts. The hymn, Zadok the Priest, written by Handel, was performed at the Queen's coronation in 1952. Zadok the Priest was the biblical priest who anointed the Hebrew King Solomon while the people cried, "God save King Solomon! Long live King Solomon! May the king live forever!"
God save Queen Elizabeth. Long live Queen Elizabeth. May the Queen live forever.
Incest was practiced by ancient Egyptian royalty.
Okay, another tangent. This is false. It's false. It has never been part of African tradition anywhere. This is your stuff. After the Romans invaded Egypt, they practiced that stuff. I don't know where they got it, but you gotta ask them, right? But there is no evidence that such a thing ever existed. Okay?
Mothers married sons and brothers married sisters to keep the power and the money all in the family. Like their pharaonic ancestors, the British
That's another lie. They have no pharaonic ancestry.
monarchy have a long history of incestuous inbreeding. The structure of government in ancient Egypt was a step pyramid model, with the Grand Vizier and priesthood one step below the pharaoh. Today's monarchy reigns using a much more sophisticated pyramid model of authority.
Okay?
Slaves have taken over the world.
First and foremost, they were not slaves. Okay? They were not slaves. We civilized We did not use force or weaponry. If we did that, then explain, how did you take Africa? If we had years and years of advanced weaponry, right? Since you want to label us conquerors and stuff. That is your cup of tea. Okay?
This is how it happened. This is roughly the distribution of lands for the bloodlines. This is after the flood. There was a major reset war.
Of course, there are many mistakes on that video, but yet there are actually correct answers also, right? So as you can see, the Roman army destroyed Jerusalem just like they did Egypt. Why? Shall show you.
70 AD, aka 1070 AD. 1000 years have been injected in the timeline.
The thing that I told you yesterday or the day before that, I don't quite remember, right? The I's and the J's before the numbers of the year, right?
Canaan was a slave, Genesis 9 and 27, and the Canaanites or Canaanites, the Genghis Khananites, took over a large swath of land throughout the 1200s. This coincided with the Mamluk takeover. Mamluk means owned or slave. The fall of Rome is actually 1476. This coincided with the adoption of Christianity and precipitated the dark age that we currently live in. Again, Rome is Edom, the brother of Israel. They are both Shemites, but Edomites are not Israelites. The royal families of Europe come from Edomite women and Yaphetite fathers, particularly Ashkenaz. This hybridization produced the Anglos, or angels, the fallen angels, the Anglo-Saxons, or the Saka, which are the Scythians, or the Japhethites. They act as if they're German and even call Germany Ashkenaz. The Sax, or Saxon Coburg-Gotha family changed their name to Windsor, and that is the royal family of England today. Brits were black, swarthy, like King Charles, and they were taken over by the Anglos. King George III, the last king of America, and Queen Charlotte, his wife, were light-skinned black people. You can see it. The American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Napoleonic Wars. These are slave uprisings and reset wars. Up until the late 1700s, Benjamin Franklin referred to the French, the Russians, the Italians, the Spaniards, and even the Germans and Swedes as swarthy. From 1775 to 1870, we have worldwide reset.
Okay, so the reset 847 after Christ, after the death of Christ.
The King of England today admits he comes from the Vlad Dracula bloodline, the vampiric bloodline. The world and the dreams have been colonized because parasites live in colonies. These chimeric slave clones were created to be soldiers and laborers. Now the soulless clones have gained enough power to forcibly crossbreed with the Rogam shot, creating heterozygous offspring. Millions were created and enslaved by their black, mulatto, and quadroon masters. The vanity and pride of people like the Moors precipitated these uprisings. Slaves ruled slaves. Life got even worse. There is no honor amongst parasites, and they will consume each other. That is why endless war and sacrifice continues. Genghis Khan said, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." If only Aboriginals could get along like Esau and Jacob in Genesis 33 when they reconciled. Parasites could never penetrate, and order would be restored. Even slaves could live a decent life. When those who are designed to lead don't lead, everybody suffers. When slaves lead, we all live like slaves. When soulless clones lead, they're in perfect position for parasites and fallen angels to inhabit them. Nobody is immune to vanity and pride, but grafts are even more susceptible to it. This is how the world is raped and the parasite spreads. At least 1 billion people are infected by the parasite that Genghis Khan had today. Humanity and mankind are not man. Know the difference. Slaves have taken over the world.
Did you know Japan's royal family claims they descend from an ancient reptilian?
That is the parasite that this guy was talking about.
Did you know Japan's royal family claims they descend from an ancient reptilian race for educational entertainment purposes only? Here's the proof. Japan's oldest texts openly record a bloodline linked to non-human reptilian beings. Japan's imperial line, the oldest monarchy on Earth, traces its ancestry to Toyota Maha.
Also, it was a melanated monarchy, which was taken over by crossbreeding. That's why they have kept their kingdoms up to now, regardless of the many, many wars that have gone on. Okay, so at the top of this scheme are the fallen angels, right? Or from their perspective, they are gods, right? They give power to their children, right? And then that power trickles down and leaving everybody else at the bottom. Okay? Now it was first the conspiracy. First, for this whole thing to happen, right? They had to get rid of the melanated kings. And like I said, there are mainly three ways they went about this. One of them was exile. Okay, they exiled them. Second, they interbred. Okay, interbred. And followed by that, they just straight up eliminated them. Okay, so all of the monarchies had these three options when the horde came, right? Some fell, right, either because they were exiled or the royal family was eliminated, or the others, mostly of them who have kept their crowns up to now, have interbred with the parasite, the fallen ones. Okay? And you might ask, how do they look then? Do they look like melanated people, or do they look like unmelanated people, meaning white people? I say they look like both. Okay? This is not a war about appearance. You have to understand this, right? And when I say Israelites, and when I say Africans are Israelites, there are people in the world today who are Israelites and they look white, completely white, and they're still Israelites. So it's not about that, right? And if you have read the Bible carefully, you see that everybody is accepted, not just the Israelites. It has never been about that, which people are now propagating, right? To create this special class and whatnot, right? But we have to understand what happened to the world most recently, right? Do not let them bamboozle you by adding 1,000 years to the calendar to basically make it like now you had time, to build your civilizations. No, you conspired. Okay, you conspired, and that led to your subjugation until today, through your monarchs and the monarchs, through the systems that the monarchs created, called a quote-unquote democracy, and boom, that's where we are. So now this beast is showing itself, right? Do not be too quick, right, to point out their skin suits, right? Talking about the fallen angels, right? Their skin suits might be white, might be Ashkenaz, right? Or what we call Jew today. But still, what is inside that suit, right? Because that is what brings forth fruits, right? Either poisonous or healthy. Okay, so we have to first understand how everything unfolded, right? So for a short period of time, there was an intense campaign to get rid of the black monarchy or the Israelite monarchies, right? We had spread all over the world, even in China, in Russia, right? Yes, there were black monarchies that established those countries, right? And you can see from what was left, right? What you see, those historical buildings, what they say they are, I don't know, 400, 200 years old. There was no such thing as, I don't know, melanated people in subjugating or enslaving the locals. right? If that was the case, then it would be clear, right? It would be clear, it would be documented, but that was not the case, right? We found you in a very low state in the development of humans, right? In the scales, so to speak, right? Which we have today, right? Which we commonly know, right? So we came, right? We taught, we inspired, we shared technology, the civilizations rose. But a particular tribe grew greedy, right? And this particular tribe is not one of the Israelites, right? It's not. And what they did is they fostered a revolution, right? So what you say, the French Revolution, that was getting rid, and the French Revolution and everything that followed after that, that was them wiping out and taking out the black monarchies, integrating them to their club, right? To the Ashkenazi angelic, fallen angelic club, right? Because you have to get the two, the angels and the Ashkenazi, the people who are communicating, right? Sharing information, and which they use to subjugate humanity, right? If you have read Enoch, you'll know that those fallen angels had secrets of heaven, okay, which they then turn to use it today as we call it technology, right? So they infiltrated, right? Even Japan, the Israelites were there, they were ruling, but they fell, okay? And what was the results of falling? They persecuted the melanated, they basically bred it out, right? Now, if you look at Japan, it's no longer melanated, full invasion, full spectrum. How? This is how.
Daughter of Ryujin, the Dragon King who lived in a vast.
Okay, and all of these mystical stories, right? They sound familiar, right? The Bible talks about dragons. China has dragons, right? But China has dragons and lions. Now you have to ask yourself, which was the first symbol for the Chinese? I say lion. Just like every one of the neighbors that are around China, from Thailand to Cambodia to everywhere, it was a lion. Why? Because they were all under the kingdom of Judah. Same to Europe. I showed you multiple so-called coat of arms of these royal houses. All of them have lions, one way or the other. Why? Because it represents Judah, right? The ruler of the whole of the tribes of the earth. So they felt jealousy. So what do? They killed the royals, executed, intermingled, pushed back to where they came from, right? Pushed them back to Africa, right? And after that, they wholly invaded us. Just invasion after invasions, from the Arabs to the Europeans, right? All pursuing Israelites. But that was not fully accomplished. They were not able to fully exterminate the melanated people. We fought back. So they had to compromise. Colonialism, right? Passive and active, both of them, depending on the levels of resistance. So then, let's continue with this.
Undersea Palace. The Kajoki, a text containing Japan's imperial family's official divine genealogy, and the Nihon Shoki, a text including heavenly descent of the imperial lands.
Look at the recent flag from Iran. Where do you think that lion came from? Israelites. But something happened in the past and boom. There are some left, believe it or not. There are some left, but for them, they have perverted where they came from, right? They don't say that, yo, we found these people here, they invited us, we lived, we had respect, we had equal rights. They'll never say that, right? All they say is these people are probably slaves, right? Which some of them are, right? We took from Africa, and of course, we after the whole slavery was abolished, we integrated them into society, right? All of these two things are true, which are indeed, even in America, there were melanated people in America. There were royal houses in America over there, right? Look at the buildings, right? The old buildings, right? It shows you that the royalty was there, right? So they invaded, they took over, they pushed them, right? We call them now Navajo or whatever, but many of them are basically hybrids, right? They fell hard, brothers and sisters, hard, right? And this dragon is the beast, okay? Is the beast. And that's not how he appeared on earth. No, he appeared as a man. Okay, he appeared as a man and he went around all of these areas, right? Because they if they die, they just I don't even think they die. Right? They just live for so long, right? And then they just disappear from the public eye, right? In a mysterious accident. And then they will appear somewhere else. And it has been going on for years and years and years. So we need to focus. The target for these demons using Europeans, Israelites. The house has been established. The house has kings in its court, and that's a big problem. So yeah, that is the short digest of what has transpired. As per the scripture, everything is unfolding perfectly. Perfectly. So as this war is unfolding, because it's going to be a war, unless people recognize and understand that they are being used, right? The fallen ones do not care for the Ashkenazi. They don't care about nobody. Everything and everybody is a tool to them. Tool to do what? To wage war against the creator, the maker of every natural thing that we see. So I just needed to put it out there, right? So as we are on the same page, Because if you do not know who you are fighting and what you're fighting for, then what is even the point? Okay? Why they don't like me? Why they're after me? Why do they wanna interbreed? To steal the inheritance of humanity. Right? Why Judah? I am Judah. One guy, not a group, just one individual. And I have to tell you who am I. I have to tell you why I'm here. So as again, free will not be violated. Okay?
Ancestors describe him as a shape-shifting reptilian being who could appear human when needed. And
this is a very also familiar story. Every culture has this story. Right? Just like, let me show you this symbol. That one, right? This symbol, right? You know it? That symbol. Every culture almost has it. It's weird. Why? Because we are connected more than people think. Okay? So again, the fallen ones. This is now what the Christians name the devil. Right? Or as in the Bible, the snake, the reptile, in the tree of the Garden of Eden. This is that person, right? You can see the trident as a crown. Why? It's also a familiar symbol. It's everywhere. Greek mythology, Roman, African, Asian, because they're talking about the same individuals. Who are they? The fallen ones.
When needed. And the imperial family even has relics today that theorists claim were given to the royal family from this reptilian race. The mirror, said to be an ancient device used to communicate with deities, which could be similar to the obsidian scrying mirror that John Dee used to contact angelic beings. The sword, taken by the storm...
The one who knows.
Deity Susanoo, who defeated the 8-headed serpent Oroki, who was guarding it. Some say the sword is actually a plasma blade that uses ether technology, just like the sword of He-Man. And the Magatama, a jewel shaped like a reptilian eye, found in prehistoric Jamon and Yayoi archaeological sites. That was, you guessed it,
Their names surely sound West African. These people are truly West African. Right? Their language is obviously Bantu, man. Come on. Right? I've been Bantu a long time. Right? But what happened to them? Yeah, the fallen ones happened to them.
Biology that turned into hardened geology, so it's actually the petrified eye of a dragon. For centuries, Japanese folklore...
Another dragon.
has described an entire spectrum of reptilian beings, including the Kappa, seen in Edo period scrolls, similar to water nymphs in Greek mythology. But here's where it gets stranger. Thousands of years before these myths were even written, the Jomon people made the Dogu figurines, wide-eyed, armored, reptilian shapes that look nothing like humans and appear across Japan for millennia. But Japan isn't alone. The Sumerian Apkallu, the African Dogons Nomu, the Hindu Nagas, ancient Chinese Dragon Kings, and Mesoamerica's Quetzalcoatl.
Wow.
Different continents, different cultures, same exact pattern. So what if these weren't myths? What if an ancient reptilian civilization survived or resurfaced after a global cataclysm and restarted humanity by interbreeding with them? Japan has the oldest reptilian artifacts and a
They restart humanity by interbreeding with them. People were fine, okay? All they gave them were tools to be imperial powers. This is what the fallen one give you. To be an imperial power, right? Africa was a powerful continent, but it wasn't an imperial power, right? But most of the kings that fell, right? Don't get me wrong, right? It's even much complex than that, right? Because in some cases, the kings were replaced, right? Like in the case of Selassie, the kings were replaced, right? The bloodline was basically set aside and a new person was introduced, right? And also that's a big majority. So every country needs to look at their history because it is country specific, right? In the context of the modern day. And that truth needs to come out in public if you want to defeat them. If not, you have a problem. A big problem. Okay? And all of that, you are tricked. You are tricked to do this. So no hard feelings, right? From the prince, no hard feelings. But now, as the chips are falling in place, right? As people are, I don't know, pretending to be shocked after finding out, like, what? There are some individuals who are literally pursuing World War III. What's wrong with these people? Because they're not really people. They are not. Okay? They are not. So these fallens, they are rampant, brothers and sisters. They are rampant. Right? Them and their minions, extremely rampant. The drums of war are loud, right? Even in the dead of night. Right? So don't be confused about APAC. Nah. Smoking mirrors. Focus. If the king that was put up fell fraudulent, subjugate by your own self. That's my advice. Right? That's my advice. You know I'm a tactician. So I'm going to cover you. In a spiritual sense. And in a literal sense. Because the sword is coming. The sword is here. And it won't go back until everything is rectified. And I'm the beginning of that rectification. So yeah.
Living reptilian bloodline. This makes Japan ground zero for understanding when these beings existed. If the same beings shaped Japan, Sumer, Africa, India, China, and the Americas, then humanity may be living on...
And of course, the Israelites, they were the main targets. Not forgetting you. Okay? All right?
ruins of a forgotten reptilian age that at one time, as all of these cultures claim, reptilian beings interbred with humans and gave birth to a divine royal bloodline.
It's not a divine. They like to call themselves divine. Right?
Which they have created. I'll tell you who runs Islam. A Roman elite family called Pallavicini. There you will see millions of videos and articles showing you all the princes of the Pallavicini family going to Muslim country and teaching all of their highest priests. The Pallavicini family are teaching them. They run them. Palla is palace or Allah. It's Apollo, Saturn. When they say Pallavicini, well, vicini, vicinity, close by. So this is the family that is the close ones to Allah. They're telling you in your face who runs the Christians. If the Rothschilds, who run the Rosicrucians, the Orsini family. The Pope says he's Christian. Of course he has to.
Well, the truth is that, right? Either you believe it or not, but the truth is that, right? So as you can understand the madness behind, they are fighting against the house of Judah, okay? And that house of Judah only has one prince, okay? So, I don't know. It's an invitation and a message. Because this is no ordinary war that is going on around here. So, yeah, now you get to choose nation by nation. Who do you fight for? Do you fight for your creator, who made everything that is beautiful? Or are you going to fight for the evil one, who tries to eliminate everything that is beautiful? Because these are the two forces that we have here, right? So, yeah. Choose your, I don't know, your royal family. Okay, because that will represent your safety, right? That will represent your safety. So join on to Judah. Bring out that lion that you have forgotten, and let's rebuild this world, right? Whatever Trump is doing, he's naked right now, you know? And everybody who's going on with it, they seem like this is much deeper, you know? This is some sort of cult, right? Cult-like mentality that is going on here. Why? Because it's exactly what it seems. So, I do not want to end up fighting anybody. My intentions are clear. My purpose is clear. My message is clear. So, as the truth keeps coming out, right, maybe some of you will wake up. Maybe some of you will wake up later. But just know, I wish you best of luck in the pursuit of the truth. Right? And for those who have understood the truth, then they have the purpose of fighting for it. It is what it is. So anyway, I'm going to put a pin on it right there. Prince Easy, signing out. Love you. Bye.